Alright, let's see here. According to the instructions of NE4EB, lay hands on a vital platter that has baseline size recorded on it. Load that onto your turntable, sample the output of your amp at 30% power setting going to the speakers, and display that on a DC coupled scope. Get back to me on what you see. Well, we can cut the silence here. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, the DC coupled scope doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because the cartridge isn't DC coupled. But for all practical purposes, the roll-off, the 3 dB down point on this system from start to finish is about 22 hertz or so. 3 dB down at 22 hertz, with the steeper fall-off happening at about 12 hertz by design. So yeah, we cut ourselves some quiet, and I'll do a lockout here. Oops, somebody's calling me. And we can play that back and look at it on the scope. Let's see what's going on over here. Not exactly sure what this is going to tell us between the actual sound, because most people don't just sit down and play silence. But if I do that and I look at my scope, and the noise floor on that is minus 50 something, you add some gain. Yeah, it's about minus 54 with a little bit of rumble that you would expect. So that's the noise floor. However, that has nothing to do with whether or not the tape that produced the digital, or even a later record pressing, was the original master, or whether the tape was an actual piece of crap done by somebody who doesn't know what they're doing in some back room trying to make CD copies for a record company that doesn't want to pay the money to have it done right. The question in this thread is whether or not an original copy can sound better. The answers to that is, yeah, sure it can. It can sound a lot better, actually, especially if the material used for the transcription is a tape that's a third generation copy that's done in a back room that's not attended by an actual real mastering engineer. So yeah, lots of times the original versions of stuff can sound a lot better than what anybody will hear on iTunes or a CD, just by virtue of the tape was in better shape when the original was made. And the vinyl equipment, if it's properly set up and adjusted, actually can make a fantastic sounding version of that album. So whether or not you see rumble and noise on a turntable has absolutely nothing to do with the actual sound quality of the record, other than, yeah, if the rumble's really bad or you don't clean your records and all that kind of stuff, then sure, the record's going to sound like dreck. But properly done on a system that's recorded with tapes that are in good shape and a pressing that's, every single step has to be right, that is correct. But the false narrative that happens with the digital and analog stuff all the time is that people don't understand that where the digital copy comes from can be quite compromised. And if that is the case, for instance, the original masters are gone, and you have a record that was cut in the early 70s on proper equipment at a decent house, then the original can definitely sound much better than any of the digital copies that are out there.